So Josie, you're going to let me know when we're up, please, honey, because then I'll jump off Facebook.
So you want me to go into our group in Facebook? Yeah. Sorry, my daughter's
Just
right in
double
front of me,
check.
distracting
You're
me.
live. You're telling me it's live now, babe.
Let me know when we're up, please, honey. Right, I think we're all live and ready to go. Hello, everybody who's jumping in and joining us. We've got Nadine is also just rocking us into the house as well. There she is. Just let Nadine drop in. So welcome to everybody who is joining us in our phenomenal Unapologetic Global Book Launch Party page. I have with me here some incredible women who have just shared their raw, authentic stories in our amazing, now international best-selling book, Unapologetic. So I'm going to round of applause to all of us. Well done, well done. So I think I'd love to just go around the circle and just everyone just say your name, where you are in Australia, and maybe a three-word sentence on how you're feeling today. So whoever hopped on first, and then we'll make our way that way. So Jessie, you were on first.
3 words. Excited. Grounded. Vibrant.
And where are you from in the moment? Where are you in the world right now?
Cairns, far north Queensland.
Fantastic, thank you. Virginia?
So I'm Virginia, Sharda York. Lots of people can't get the Sharda name, but that's fine. Interchangeable, Virginia or Sharda. And I'm in the far south coast of New South Wales, so 6 hours below Sydney for people outside Australia. And today I'm feeling juicy, relaxed, and very heart open.
Beautiful, lovely. Next one, Catherine.
I'm Catherine. I'm in Brisbane at the moment, and I'm feeling really happy, and I'm feeling excited for this conversation, and I'm feeling very open.
Beautiful. Lovely. Odell.
Hello, Odell here, and I'm from Brisbane also, and I'm feeling in my heart, so love. I'm feeling love and joy and peace.
Nice. You look full of joy as well. You always do whenever I see you online. Who do we have next? I think it was Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie and I'm from Auckland in New Zealand. Yeah, I feel deep gratitude, supported and at peace. Yeah, thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Steph. I'm in Newcastle in New South Wales, Australia. And yeah, I feel really relaxed too, like Virginia. And I feel really blissed out today and just fucking stoked, guys. Just stoked. Just the love vibes flowing. That's me.
Beautiful. Thank you. Nadine.
Hi, women. Hello. So nice to see you all. Yeah, I'm feeling very happy. I'm feeling grateful and very open-hearted. Yeah, just very, very open-hearted. And I'm here in Half Moon Bay, California, in the United States, just outside of San Francisco on the coast. So
fantastic. So good to have you here, all of you. Guys, my name is Claudia Scalisi. I am in Newcastle, but I'm currently in Coffs, just out of Coffs Bay, a place called Scott's Head, celebrating my very late honeymoon after we got married on the eve of isolation in 2020, which happens to also be the weekend that our book went live and we reached international bestsellers status. And I too am I feel really grounded, very in my body. And I have to use the word liberated, because the things I shared in my chapter, I didn't share with anybody until I went through a phenomenal depth of shadow work to realize this really happened to me. This isn't someone else's memory. This is my memory. Pulled it out of the shadow and looked at it for what it was. And now that I've done that, I feel so free. I'm excited about what's possible now. So thank you all for being here. I want to just take a moment to recognize the traditional landowners on where we all currently sit on this phenomenal country of ours. For the Indigenous people, the Awabakal people who are in Newcastle, and wherever you are currently standing on this mother country, Australia, or where you are in the world, the depth and breadth of storytelling that has passed through these ancient cultures as a way of handing wisdom from generation to generation. May we receive your wisdom and your inspiration and your grounding as we bring forward these important words to share with our fellow global sisterhood. When you're ready, bring your eyes into the space. There are 2 acknowledgements I'd love for us all to share with each other. If you agree, just raise your hand so each woman can see and recognize that she is in a safe space in this conversation. The first acknowledgement is that we agree to be a stand for each woman in front of us sharing her truth, even if we do not believe in what she believes in or sharing her truth. The second one is that we agree not to disparage anyone based on race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, or ability to share in her talks. Gorgeous. The circle is open and we have a psychologically safe and emotionally safe container in which to share, to bring us all into our bodies, because I don't know about you, I'm vibing really high and I want to ground it. I've got some music that I'd love to share with you all, and anybody that is watching us from home, I'm going to invite you into this experience with us. I'm going to ask you to stand, turn the volume up on your computer. Now, this piece of music and this dance, please know it is not performative. Even though I'm going to be dancing in front of the camera, I invite my fellow authors too as well. But I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, even bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your womb, if this is what's calling you, or both hands on your womb, and feel the earth underneath your feet. When I put the music on, you won't hear me speaking. So the cues I'll give you is to see if you can tap into the pull of gravity of Mama Gaia, asking you to drop in and trust her. Start to feel your hips relax, feel your yoni open and relax, feel your throat open, and move the way that love wants to move through you. So let's come to stands. I am trusting in my tech skills that the music will play, and I know that my sisters will give me a thumbs up when the music is on. While we're waiting for this music to start, you can already bring your eyes, close your eyelids, start to just tap into the energy that is really starting to rise up as all of us are tapping into this wisdom. All the ancient women from the years gone by us. Give me a thumbs up, girls, when you can hear the tunes. stay where you are just for the next few moments and be in resonance with the way that your body has received this wisdom. Just feeling for your breath. And then bringing your attention back into the space. Coming and taking a seat. How do we all feel after that movement? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up. Isn't movement just such a great way to bring wisdom up from the body? Yeah, just to move it all around. So today's topic is one that is really close to my heart, and I'm so honored to hold this space, and I'm excited to hear from each and every one of you. I've got a couple of questions that I'm going to put forward to the group, just to kick off the conversation, and then we can chat, talk a little bit. So the first question I want to ask and put out there is, what does sacred sexuality mean to you?
Well, I feel happy to jump in on that. That was such a powerful dance, and it drew a huge amount together that addresses that question, because we're all in the book and sitting a lot and being at the desk and Facebook and technology and whatever. I've just so suffered in my body this week, making myself go and get out into nature and making myself get away from, the sitting. And I'm in my office where I do all that work a lot, not always, only. But I just so could celebrate being here, but I felt really in my hips and that great juicy opening of the female form. And sacred sexuality to me, I mean, everything about the topic of sexuality has a sacredness, which I think is what women bring as a lens to all of the many aspects of how we express ourselves in our life. But I was thinking about in preparation this morning how for me, I can't separate any act of the day, or I don't feel I do, from both sensuality and sexuality. And I think that's part of the female form in this lifetime that we bring. So for me, it's the integration. And I found in my dance where I take a lot of dance therapy and sacred dance and ecstatic dance, but I felt such a level just by being with me, with the idea of allowing that force up and through and into the body. And when you draw down, often I might gather, but I felt so open, like really it's an opening of all the channels and connecting them all. So then I found funnily, I think I wrote about that a little bit, it wasn't my topic, but I wrote a little in my chapter to that idea of integrating all of the parts of the body. So for me, spirituality is in the body and sensuality is in all of life, is what I felt my dance was. So that's my answer to today, what it means.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for the dance. I love
sensuality in the body, or sexuality in the body and sensuality in the movement.
I think what I just said was, I've been writing to this a lot lately, that I think we live our spirituality in the body, and I think I just said the sensuality sort of outward into life, or sexuality is our. Speaking as a woman here, and for men that are listening, I hope they can honour that.
Thank you, Virginia. Anyone else? Hop on in. What does sacred sexuality mean to you?
Yeah, I'll pop in. I agree with Virginia. I feel like it's your essence that you radiate from that deep space within you. It's all of you. It's how you move, it's how you speak, it's how you hold yourself. It's in the tone of your voice. It's in the way you move your hips. It's in everything that you are. And when you fully embody that life force within you and you move that through you, and it's like this I am goddess energy. You are the goddess. And it's like, walking out of I always see this picture of walking out of the water, with this beautiful, what's the word? Just like this, exuding this incredible confidence and grace and beauty, all of that, packaged into one. And that is, how you show up in relationships in the world, how you show up with yourself as well, I suppose. So yeah, that's what it means for me.
Thank you, Nadine.
I love that. I'll jump in. Yeah, I love what both of you amazing women have said so far. And for me, totally in alignment with that. I think for me, for a long time, I was very disconnected from sacred sexuality at all in my life. And now I really see it as the connection that I have to everything. So it's the way I interact with the world. It's the way I show up for myself, for those around me, for clients, for life, you know, for this project. It's that dance, it's that interaction and staying in integrity with myself. And also allowing myself now, because it's only now in life, you know, I'm pushing 40 in a couple of months, and I've finally decided that life is meant to be lived as a spectrum of pleasure. So, you know, after a couple of years ago, it's like, holy shit, everything gets to be an orgasmic experience. Everything gets to be as good as I want it to be, as good as I want it to be. And, you know, talking about sexuality or just sex in general, I had sex for years where it was about pleasing someone else. And now I'm like, don't even fucking come near me, whether it's to do with sex or whether it's just to do with a life experience, unless you're going to like, unless it's reciprocal. Yeah. And that goes for my relationship with myself. Like if I'm not having interactions where I'm understanding and putting myself, my needs, wants and desires out there to be witnessed and felt and seen and heard and held and supported, and then having really deep trust within myself that regardless of what comes into my world, I can face that within that lens of being in that dance, being in that sacred dance of life from this space of honoring me and honoring, you know, whatever the interaction is. That's what it really is for me. And so with that comes, I loved that Natalie mentioned grace. And for me, you know, my chapter is called Truth and Power. And on the end of that always comes grace and love. So for me, truth and power, my truth and power comes from, especially my power, comes from finding my grace. And that's where sacred sexuality really plays its role for me, is like tapping into all four of those in equal measure. And it might look different at any one time. I might need more truth at some point, or more love, or more grace, more power, but they're always at play. They're the key aspects that are at play in this dance of all the experiences that I'm having with life, to embrace sacred sexuality.
Beautiful. Sounds like a real intersection where all the pieces come together. Thank you, Steph. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll talk. I really feel it's that deep honoring of the masculine and the feminine, really, even though I was gifted this amazing, beautiful vessel to glide through this life in. Sacred sexuality to me is that sacred honoring and that sacred ceremony in every moment with those parts of me and my inner child as well, which has been a really beautiful journey to get to that right now, because it was never like that before.
Yeah. We're going to go deeper into understanding how each one of us got to where we are, really. And whoever feels comfortable to share, I know you've already shared it in your chapters. I'd love to share a little bit of sacred sexuality. For me, I've written a chapter that's called My Divine Sexual Reclamation. I found that when I started to really honor the body temple as a place where my spirit resides, like we go to church or we go to temple in our physical, but my soul is inhabiting my body, and my body is a temple for my soul to experience the divine. And I am the same as the earth that I stand on barefoot. I am the ocean behind me, the winds. When I started to honor my temple and let her feel pleasure, and not just let her, but receive it, honestly receive it, I sanctified my body. This is holy. This is holy ground. And whoever I share my body with treats my body like a holy temple. It took me a long time to recognize that I owned this pleasure. It was mine to feel a connection to divine, and using it like an antenna to call in the feeling, this is who I am. Yeah. So the next question that I have, I want to throw into the mix is, can you describe to me the dynamic of sensuality and versus sexuality? And I might open it up to the girls that haven't spoken yet, and then we can all jump in. The dynamic of sensuality and sexuality. Who wants to go first?
I'll just let it roll out. I've played around with this for a while, but I kind of feel like my sensuality is that, I guess what the experience of the body and the dance with it in all life. I kind of feel like it sort of started for me through my yoga practice, and then like following the breath into the body, and then like, oh, how can you feel it and touch it and taste it and let all the senses come alive. So I feel like sensuality is so much about the senses, and then sexuality, as you women were all describing and beautifully. I feel like sexuality is that next, when I say the word sexuality, my womb is just like ping, 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 ping. And it's this like guidance or knowing from my yoni or my pussy of just like what brings her life, like what what makes her come alive fully, and honoring that, like you were saying, Claudia, that like really honoring that, like that's fucking sacred, and why would we ever do anything to our sacredness in all of life? And I just love the way that it flows into every realm that exists in this world, that we've been blessed with this body to experience all of life. So sensuality, I kind of feel like it's all of the juiciness and the stuff that you can do with this body, and the sexuality is that like really deep core kind of knowing from, I'm a female body, so for me I feel it so intensely in my womb when it's a yes and when it's a no, and that guidance system is just so strong now because I've been kind of following it for so long in my realm of my life. It feels like so long, but it's actually like not very long at all. But I guess once I've found that path, I'm never going to deny that path anymore, basically, because it's the power comes, like Steph said, the power comes, and you're like, damn, that's what I'm here for. Yeah.
And what's so beautiful what you've just said, Adele, is that I don't know how old you are, but you look like you could be young enough to be my daughter. And I wish that I'd learnt this wisdom at that age. I mean, gosh, could you imagine the trajectory of the life that we would have had? Not that I'm dismissing what I currently know, but to be in your 20s and to have that depth of understanding of your sexuality and your sensuality and ownership of your body and your pleasure. Wow. Thank you, Adele. Anyone else? Sensuality and sexuality to you. What's the dynamic?
Sure, I'll speak to that a bit. Yes, everything is resonating, what everyone's saying. And I really do feel that the sensuality is it's almost like our eros. It's this movement we have towards life. We're living in a tactile 3D world. And so embracing that, with the sensuous movements, like we're alive. And then the sexuality feels like that's that deeper vehicle of where we are creatresses, divine creation. And I don't mean just human beings, like of course, like we can come to that holy temple and with another and that sacred church and creation of life on earth. But it's also like, activated in our womb and our sacral chakra. That's where we create everything. So, I think the sensuality is our lived experience in the world, and then the sexuality is really that vehicle for our divine creation. If that makes sense.
Thank you. Thank you. Gorgeous conversation. So that kind of brings me to the next question.
Can I speak, Claudia?
Please.
So for me, I feel like sensuality is more a shallow, everyday feeling, like smelling a rose or eating a beautiful meal or seeing something like the beautiful background that you have of the beach, and indulging those senses all of the time. And I feel like our sexuality is a sense as well, but much deeper. And I feel like if we can bring in the sensuality into our everyday life, then it kind of prepares us to be ready for the frequency and the depth of our sexuality. I found that really helped me to bring in beauty and pleasure in my everyday life as I dropped into the depth of my sacred sexuality. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Can I
You know,
just speak to
following,
this too?
please
Oh,
go.
yeah, because I've loved everything that's shared, and what really dropped in for me really clearly was that sensuality, like Adele was speaking around, like sensuality for me is really the senses lighting up. And like Catherine was saying, you know, seeing something and being, you know, having a sense go, oh, that brings me a bit of pleasure. Whereas for me, that sexuality is that real raw, animalistic, like depth of emotion and that guiding force, like Adele was saying, you know, as well, like, but from that real raw space of like, this is exactly what I want. I'm so passionate about this, like just letting that animal out, or that, you know, your sacred slut, like just come forward and express herself unapologetically, to just rise and just be claiming what she wants based on the fact that her senses were lit up. And it's like, that's, you know, oh, that's exciting. But then that sexuality comes forward and he like claims it. It's like, that's for me, you know, and just really owns that experience.
Beautiful. Rawness and wildness and untamed.
I think I've literally just become so activated through the start of this call that I'm just like, I feel like I'm every goddess at the same time right now.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Ladies, I want to circle back around and speak about cultural conditioning, societal conditioning. And I mean, we're talking about goddess energy and the word sacred slut, which I know was triggering as fuck for me when I first heard it. I was like, I'm not a fucking slut. Don't call me a slut. Do you know, I got really triggered by it. But when cultural conditioning, social conditioning, and the triggers that armor us up. So we're so armored up to life that we block feeling, so the depth of feeling. So can we have a bit of a discord about cultural conditioning regarding sexuality and our ability to experience pleasure?
Yeah, I think the first thing that drops in for me is good girls don't do that, you know, and that definitely was something, I suppose, that I was always not always, you know, very much in this kind of space of I'm a good girl, I don't do that. And when I started finding my own sexuality and sensuality as such, you know, there was a sense of I'm doing something wrong. You know, I'm doing something wrong. This feels wrong to me. It didn't feel good. And because I really felt that it was wrong, I didn't fully embody it as much as I should have. And especially in relationships, there would always be this over-pleasing, you know, always giving to the other person instead of actually receiving. And that then took away from all the pleasure, you know, the whole experience as such. So once I dropped that good girl bullshit and I found my wild woman and I found that rising phoenix, or allowed that rising phoenix to really go and come on, claim, like, you know, Steph said, claim your magic, claim all of who you are through your body, through fully experiencing, because there's nothing wrong. It's not dirty. That's another one. It's dirty, you know? And yeah, that was definitely something that was very much in the way that I grew up, in a very, very Christian household as well. It wasn't celebrated in that way, even though my parents were very open about sexuality. it wasn't celebrated. I didn't feel like I could really let it all hang out as such. So yeah, definitely that for me, the good girl and the dirty. It's dirty. And then obviously all the stigmas, which the other woman can talk about, around, it's almost forbidden. That's the word that I want to use. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd like to jump in. Just layers of history were just striking me. First of all, how wonderful to be in this format as women talking with each other, just us even as authors, the courage and the vulnerability, and then knowing other people will listen. And I was, not meaning to be horrible to the guys, but just kind of going, boomf, look how we can do this, women, And so it's like that stepping into that goddess energy that's there. And I think this is here for all society. So if we paddle back through all society and go, wow, holy moly, no wonder we've got loading. It's not just our cultural condition. It's not just this century. So for me, this multidimensional, back through many, many lifetimes experience of what you bring forward into this life, of all of the things that you've had said into your spirit space or to your soul or what you've experienced, it's just another dimension or another powerhouse to bring about how important it is that we can talk about sensuality, sexuality, and also the great conditioning and the terrible lessons that we learn wrongly and unlearn. So as I sit, and part of my hesitation sometimes I'll just speak into the space. I always feel very blessed. I remember I trained as a marriage counsellor very early. I'll come back to that. And 1 in 4 Australian women had been abused back when I did my training. I think it's now 3 in 4. So it's very, very high level, maybe also how we define abuse, etc. Very high level, but I always feel very blessed in this lifetime. I haven't been in any ever situation of sexual abuse. So I'm married very young, and in a huge and wonderful and long marriage, had nothing but that opening of sensuality into the wild space all through my 20s and into my 30s. Then we ended. So I know it's the next topic, but I had never self-pleasured till 35 because I'd never not been in a sexual relationship as a growing up young girl into an adult. So I had to discover myself. That's another story. Oh, me and pleasure. But I have such positive experience of sensuality and sexuality that I don't have those memories. But when I've gone out into other timelines, oh, holy moly again, do I have memories? And it's so powerful what can even be informing here and now from other lifetimes. And I think most women who are awakening have been part of the witch hunts, have been part of terrible travesties of disempowerment. So we're in this incredible position where we can use this potency now to speak to other women and to share our stories of not just our recovery, but what we also know we can celebrate in this. I love the raw, I love the dirty, I love the sacred, but I guess I'm just going to put a difference out. I don't want to use words like slut. I actually think that word does mean things. So I'm really big on languaging. This is my priestess, goddess, crowning queen power. And no wonder in the battle of male and female, that's been put down. But I think now we're in a place to celebrate and open that, and for men and women to know their sexual potency. So, I've been around a couple of girls that occasionally I've gone, oh my God, that's such slut behavior. And I mean it. It's like, get your paws off my guy, etc. So it's okay. It's okay. But the part of the embodiment for me is so powerful. Like I just felt in that dance. I don't even think I've begun at this age to even feel the ends of it's kind of universal, the ends of that potency when it's released through the body. It kind of doesn't have ends, not on this earth. Anyway, I don't know if that's a bit too out there, but that's sort of what I'm feeling to say today.
I think the more out there we can all get, the easier it is for everybody to have an understanding. Because we're all going to feel it on different levels.
And I think at the end of the dance, what I was experiencing, because I often come back, I'm martial art trained, I often come back to grounding and gathering and coming in and pulling. And I felt in this dance, it just wanted to go out and out and out. And maybe that's part of where we as women pull ourselves in. Because it is, nice girls don't do that, or, nice girls don't, shine too much, or, there's something reductive, whereas sexual energy is universal life force creation energy. How can you reduce that down? So if we can step out of the way, that's how powerful it can be.
Thank you, Virginia.
Thoughts?
Anyone else want to talk about cultural or societal conditioning?
I feel like in my, growing up, the good girl thing of it, I feel like that's kind of rife, but it's almost like I didn't even know that I was in it. Like I didn't, it's so strange because that part doesn't like trigger me. It's almost like I was just so like there was just no teaching or anything that was at any sort of depth or thing that was worthwhile while I was growing up. So I honestly got to a point, and I think I spoke this in my chapter, where at like 26, 2 years ago, I was like, oh, women can self-pleasure. That's a thing. So it's just this like, this feeling of, like Natalie was saying, just like it's almost, it's, I don't know, everything's just kind of like kept under the rug, nothing, or maybe Virginia was saying it, like nothing's really spoken about. It's kind of all just, I don't know, it's just this feeling of it's all so taboo and we can't speak about it. And I think that part of the conditioning within us is probably the biggest flaw that we have, because as soon as you start to speak about it, it opens up this whole world of like, oh, you feel that too? Oh, you feel that? Oh, wow, we can actually go and explore some cool shit. This is great. And yeah, I guess from that moment of like starting to open the door, that's when I started to find all my shadows, because I feel like for my generations, that has been happening. And then it gets to me and I'm like, hang on a minute, I want to have a juicy life. And then I've got to like peel back all this stuff that I didn't know was there. But you know, painful and grateful for it.
That's a phenomenal. Okay, Catherine, go for it.
I was just going to say that my experience is quite the opposite to Virginia and Odell, in that those women at 26 and 36 realized that self-pleasuring was a thing. And I was relearning it at sort of that age, or a little younger. I felt like I, at a quite young age, was sexual and was self-pleasuring as a preteen. And then once I got into my teen years, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. And that cultural stigma around self-pleasure for women and sexuality for women, I felt like I needed to push that down. And then I had to relearn in my 30s that it was actually okay for me to desire pleasure and to be a sexual woman. And kind of commenting on the, like, I guess, stigma that women have, I think men have the same thing. And I know that in my relationship with my husband, he felt like he had, I guess, a desire, but didn't want to have too much of a desire. And so I guess we kind of played in that I was like, oh, I don't want to be like seen as too sexual. And he didn't want to be like too like grabbing at that sexuality, because, you know, men have that perception as being the instigator and taking when they're not always welcome. And so both of us feeling like we needed to pull back just meant that we couldn't fully enjoy each other until we both recognized that and went, you know what, we both deserve pleasure. And as long as we're both consenting, like, we can go for it in that way that Steph was just describing as, like, you know, raw and animalistic, and actually claiming what we want and being okay with that.
Nice.
I'd like to come back on that. I think it's so important, Catherine. If I can, I wanted to make the statement. I think self-pleasuring is really important. So when I learned at 35, because I'd been in a relationship full of sexual activity and learning, but I kind of didn't have time for self-pleasuring. But once I was like by myself, and I was by myself for 7 years, you know, dating, but not with a partner. And I've spent most of my adult life, other than that 7 years, I've always been partnered. So it's kind of like this, when do I want to be with me, with my sensual and sexual experience? And when do I want to be with my partner? But I think it's really important that women know their bodies. I think through self-pleasuring, we know exactly just there, you know, we know ourselves, and it actually enhances your relationship with your partner. So I think that sort of self-exploration and self-knowledge, and this not being dirty, but this being inhabiting where we are, is vital. So I just wanted to say that, not as, you know, I think it's absolutely natural, young. I think it's really important all through a relationship. I guess I was just really busy. I didn't kind of have time. But I work a lot with women as a therapist. I work a lot with women with, you know, abuse and unable to sort of be in their potential sexually, often comes up as part of that life force. So I think it's really good for us to know all of what's our best go for it, like you said. And I love the idea that when you're consenting, that wildness has such a big space. The problem is when it's not consenting. And that's the sort of history and the conditioning that we're carrying.
I got a question for you, all of you, on that. Mental consenting or body consenting, as in yoni consenting? Because, okay, I wrote a chapter on my divine sexual reclamation because I first started having sex when I was 16, 17, but I wasn't switched on. So I remember having sex with my high school boyfriends, and I never had a vaginal orgasm. I had orgasms, and it felt nice, but it felt nice because I remember thinking I was being naughty because I got told I was a bad girl. Grew up in a Catholic Italian household, and girls didn't do those kind of things, you know. So it wasn't until I hit my 40s, to be really honest with you. I'd been celibate for 2 years, 2 times in my life. I'd chosen to pull away from having sex because I just knew something wasn't right. My body, I kept getting UTIs, I kept getting pelvic pain. I didn't feel good after sex. I'd feel yucky in my body. So when I removed myself from having external relationships, it wasn't until I was 40 that I started to learn about yoni massage, yoni mapping, jade eggs. And I really by then though, I had the yoga embedded in me. My body was open and ready. I'd gone through the shadow, which is where we're about to go in a moment. But it was only through learning how to let my yoni open up and swallow the jade egg. I had no idea that the yoni would open up and take something the way that it did, that I was shocked. Yeah. So I remember thinking, gosh, you could be consenting in your head, but your body's a big And then it's this form of self-betrayal if you go ahead and just lose your lube and just go ahead and let it happen anyway. It's the ultimate form of self-betrayal. Anybody want to speak about that? Go ahead, Jessie.
I spent most of my life like that. And if you read the chapter of my book, there's a lot of sexual abuse, rape, mutilation, all sorts of stuff that I've lived through in all my lifetimes. I'm getting very emotional talking about this. And then as a very young girl.
We're all here with you, babe.
Yeah, I know. I didn't realise this was going to come up. You know, I experienced sexual abuse and completely shut down. And I spent most of my life like that until very recently. And most of my relationships were that. My body was just like, no, this is wrong, this is dirty, completely closed. So I had to go on a journey within myself and celibate, and through, I call it sex magic now. I love it. It's amazing. And start to really go into those shadow, pained, closed down old parts of self and open her back up and find her and bring the light in and discover who I was. So it's been a beautiful, messy, painful, amazing, massive journey for me. Yeah.
Yeah, Jessie, it's huge, hun. It's huge. I really see you, my darling.
Thank you.
Yeah, our yoni, I teach about this, has its own consciousness, right? So it's really about honoring the wisdom of our yoni. And when we're in trauma, when we're holding on to trauma, sexual trauma, and not just from this life, from past lives as well, all of that abuse, she shuts down, baby. There's no entering her at all. And even during self-pleasure, you can really experience what she wants. And it's like almost like having this conversation with your body, with your yoni, and bringing in that deep self-love into this space, into self-acceptance is the words that I'm looking for here. But and then going into that deep space of healing and understanding the trauma. And when you then release the trauma, and this is when a lot of people, when they release that trauma, have Kundalini experiences, that Kundalini awakening. because it's the floodgates are opened and it's allowing that life force energy to flow through you. And this is when your womb, your yoni consciousness, or your yoni can speak, can be heard, right? She wants to be heard. She doesn't want to, it's like that deep respect for yourself, for your body. And this is what I truly understood, because sex is not dirty. It is supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be celebrated. It's supposed to be juicy and loving. And there's this another level of expansion that comes from truly releasing the trauma of sexual abuse, because I've been through it. You know, at 4, I didn't even know it. I kept on having these flashbacks, these images that kept on coming up. And I don't write about this in my book because this is the first time I've ever spoken about it publicly. But I'm putting it out there.
Wow.
And it was, it was something of having to go to that space and truly, you know, heal that trauma, and then allowing my body, my yoni, to fully come back to talk to me, come speak to me, come tell me her wisdom, what it was that she wanted, that she desired. Yeah, and it was in that moment that I truly found my pleasure. And that it's pleasure. It's love. It's deep self-love. Yeah. So I see you, my darling, and I feel for all of those women, for those of you who are listening to this, you know, we see you, we hear you, we know, we understand all your experiences, but you can come back to self. You can come back home to self and deeply heal yourself. And that is when it is that liberation, that liberating feeling of truly embodying all parts of yourself, which is so beautiful.
Thank you so much, Natalie, and beautiful Jessie, for being so open to share something so incredibly sacred, such as your journey of self-reclamation and yoni wisdom. I think so many women shut down from even communicating, from fear of shame, rejection, ostracization, bringing shame to the family, you know, not talking about it because we're not supposed to talk, or we've been told, conditioned, you don't talk about it, or worse yet, it's your fault that happened to you. You know, this is important work. This is the most important work. I feel that's why I wrote it in the event page that we could be having right now, because as each one of us switches on, we'll go there in a minute about the chakra system and Kundalini rising, that we open ourselves up to the beauty that is life. I mean, life is the sensual sexual act of the flowers opening up and releasing this scent that is so magnetizing that the bees come and pollinate the gardens. This is life. We are like these feminine flowers, this fruit. It's in us, and it's our innate coming home to ourselves. When we switch ourselves on, we give permission to every other woman who comes into contact with us that she can too. We are creating sacred, safe, psychological containers and spaces for other women to reconcile with the places inside them that they deem to be unlovable. This is emotional stuff for me too, because my chapter's about this, and realize I can still love that part of myself that is ugly and shameful, and bring her my love, because she is also my power and my depth and my ability to pull myself out of this place and receive and pull to me life itself. I want to just touch on something now. How do you love the unlovable?
With
women
lots
who are
of
watching.
practice, I think with lots of practice. I think for those people that struggle to love themselves, I think it's a really challenging journey, and something that is really hard to step into, because first, before you feel the love and the pleasure and the beauty of who you are, you have to go through the pain and the shadows and acknowledge all of the things that you think are fucked up about yourself, which inherently are not, but it takes a while. for you to discover that and truly believe that, and witness yourself as a full spectrum woman and know that all of those parts of you are you and okay, and that every other woman has all of those parts to them as well, even though we don't see those parts of other women because we hold those parts away and hide them. And so we think when we see other women, the women that brought us up or the women in our circles, that they don't have those shadow parts, but everybody does. And once you acknowledge them and know that they're okay and accept them, then you can start to drop into that self-love.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah,
How do you love the unlovable?
I love the word love. So just a few things on that. When you were talking, Claudia, I totally get the mind, when the mind isn't open, and then the yoni and the opening. And I had sort of been holding then that idea of, and then the heart opening as well. So we're kind of at that deep place of everything in alignment. So for me, even the level of sexual experiencing in my own body has always been affected by my feeling the love in the in-between space of me and my partner. And so I kind of even think how we're constantly working with this aligning or resonating or opening through all the chakras or through all the parts of the body. This has, it's part of the skill of being fully. And to Catherine's point, that other part of my life that isn't talking about sex, but crazily is a lot, because I work a lot still with men in the corporate space, and amazing work-life balance, home, relationships, love, heart, relationship breakups. I often say jokingly, you'd be surprised how much we talk about sex. just as part of the, time for actually coming into pleasure, to actually let yourself love yourself in your life, not just go, I have to do this, I have to do that. The busyness that's part of our modern living. So I think the act of self-love at a sexual level and at the heart level is making space for ourselves and the nourishment that love is. So we are all spending our whole life learning to love ourselves, is kind of one of my lines. I think that is our life journey, to come more deeply into love of self and then love of other, and love in the exuberance of our lives. So yeah, I'm kind of in a happy space of being in love with the word love at the moment. And I've even decided, complete aside, that in the leadership book I'm writing love letters to leaders. I decided that the heart space as well, about the love in leadership. So that's in the kind of outer world, but of course the inner place is where it all begins. So it's a lifelong journey, and no, I'm not done yet.
Thank you, Virginia. I want to put this question out there. Oh, sorry, were you going to say something, Adele?
A little bit. I just feel like sometimes I feel like, some people it's really obvious, or like they say, I don't know how to love myself, that sort of thing. For me, it kind of felt like I didn't even really realize that there was parts of me that I didn't love. It was like such a shadow that I didn't love these parts of myself, that I just it's like I pushed those parts of me away, so I loved the parts that I loved, and then I pushed the rest away, pretending like it wasn't there at all. And so, then the hard part to actually, like Virginia was saying, open to more love, which is pretty much the journey that I feel like we are all on, is this like, how do we, the open to the fullness of life and how much love there really is. It's just so intense, but we close ourselves down because I feel like it is a lot. It's a lot to feel the full spectrum of love. So I feel like for me, it was like there was just a lot of shadows around what I didn't know, and then kind of be shown that piece by piece now to be where I'm at now, knowing that I think there's still so much more to go to experience. There's also that piece around, wow, there's so much love. There's so much love to be had, and through I think for me it comes back to through being with other people, and keep getting it reflected back almost, and it's just, yeah, experience by experience that cracks the heart open again and again and again, so it expands.
I'd really love to just add a little bit in here, if that's okay. To me, yeah, it's so important. Radical acceptance and radical self-responsibility. And for me personally, it's all through inner child. Every time we come up with that shadow part or some pain or something, it's like, okay, I call my inner child Sun Blossom, and I sit and I listen and I bring her in. And you just have to be so radically responsible and accepting of yourself.
Beautiful.
It's just a little piece I wanted to throw in there. I think Nadine wanted to speak something out because she has to go.
Oh, hello. Hi, ladies. Yes, sorry, my internet cut out for a minute too. Well, I just wanted to say how much I resonate with what everyone is saying, and especially because of where we are in human history, it is vitally so important that women, you know, and men, of course, too, really all, whatever we identify as, however we identify, that we tap into this authentic wisdom. You know, I really loved the question of, you know, consent from our minds or from our young. It's so true, you know, so few people are really, really tuned into that, and it's so exciting that we are waking up to that. And I do need to leave, but I really wanted to share this quote because I think it speaks to why this is so important as well. And then I'll say goodbye for now, but I'll watch the rest later. All right, so this is when the first chakra is disconnected from the feminine earth, we can feel orphaned and motherless. The masculine principle predominates, and we look for security from material things. Individuality prevails over relationships, and selfish drives triumph over family, social, and global responsibility. The more separated we are from the feminine earth, the more hostile we become to the feminine. We disown our passion and our creativity and our sexuality. Eventually, the earth itself becomes a barren and baneful place. I remember being told one day by a medicine woman in the Amazon, do you know why they're really cutting down the rainforest? Because it's wet and dark and tangled and feminine. Alberto Vallado.
Wow.
And
Oh,
yeah,
can you
I'll
please put that
post it
link or something? Yes.
in the chat right here. Yes, because I feel like everything we were talking about, this dirtiness and the not knowing our bodies, it's like there's such a fear around that, and we've had so many years of the separation from the authentic feminine. So hallelujah that so many of us are reclaiming and healing our trauma. So because it's all connected. So
Please share it in the actual group too. Like,
okay, I'm going to share it right here, and then I'll do it in the group too.
yeah, it's so
Thank you
important.
so
Thank you,
much.
Nadine.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful hostessing, and so much love to you guys. I'll watch the rest later. Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye, Tom.
Bye, cuties.
There is so much to do. So I'm aware that we've already gone to an hour, and I want to put this out there because I loved chatting with Steph about this when we were talking, and I want to hand the mic over to you, babe. Can you please describe what divine union is, and how do you work with the sacred masculine and sacred feminine within you? What are they, and how do you do it?
Did we record that conversation? Do I even remember what I said? Actually, I was going to speak on the back of what Nadine just shared, and I think this ties in perfectly. So when you talk about loving the unlovable, for me, what comes through is needing to go to the dark within us. And like Nadine said, you know, that quote around the forest being dark, entangled and feminine, and all the talk that we've had around past lives and needing to go back in to explore what's actually come forward into this life. And I do a lot of work with all of my clients around both taking them back into, well, my work is all around really taking them back into the dark, because for me the growth isn't in the light and the love. I'm sure we all agree, you know, we grow once we actually acknowledge the dark, once we go back in and experience that. And so for me, when I do that and when I'm working with clients, there's a huge emphasis for me around the balance of energies. And that comes to me for many reasons, both being an Aboriginal woman and knowing that culturally, and for all Aboriginal cultures around the world, you know, culture is built on balance. These ancient cultures are built on balance. And as living beings on this earth, we both, you know, we have both masculine and feminine energies within us. And being able to tap in and give the masculine energies either within you or within your life the ability to create the structure for us, to create the safety, right? For our feminine to thrive, for her to be in her most creative, sensual, you know, uplifting, vibrant self, she needs to feel safe. She will not thrive. Like you're talking about the yoni opening. The yoni will not open unless she feels safe. You will not experience life to the spectrum of pleasure that you deserve to be experiencing your life unless you're in a place of safety, unless you feel safe. So first, to love the unlovable and to be able to balance these energies and work with them, it's about coming back to yourself first. You need to be able to tap into your masculine and understand that masculine energy, understand where it's wounded, you know, where it's wanting to be in control all the time, which is not healthy. We don't need that, because once that masculine brings in that security and that structure and the focus, your feminine comes in to breathe life into that masculine energy. The feminine breathes life into the masculine vision. So your masculine is all about having that vision and the focus of who you be in this world, what it is, the legacy that you want to leave, all of that. But you need to be very in touch with that femininity to be able to feel her, to be able to give her freedom to flow and create in just within the most authentic expression of who she is, not cage her, you know, not try and limit her or hold her back. You know, in our roundtable the other day, Natalia was saying, you know, sometimes her husband's like, oh, just tone it down. She's like, have you met me? Like, why do I need to tone this down? This is perfect, you know? And it's like, that's the vibe. It's like, you know, the masculine wants to keep you in that structure, wants to keep you going towards your vision, going and being focused. But that feminine wants to be playful. She wants to create. She wants to bring in the flavor. Yeah. She wants to help you be who you are, to be the individual, the uniqueness. You know, the title of this book, Unapologetic, Shedding Inauthenticity, to be uniquely you. So when you tap into your femininity and allow all that is sensual and sexual within you from that place to just be in flow, that's when you become uniquely you. You're not just another woman. None of us are clones. None of us will be. One of the quotes I love is, you know, it's something along the lines of, you know, be you, everybody else is taken. And I fucking love that for every man, woman and child on this earth. And I know, you know, I've got boys, and one of them's not so little, but raising boys, you know, as a single mum, for me, it does come back to maintaining the fact that they need to have balance as well. They can't just be with this feminine woman that's all yellow flowers and, you know, and love and you know, nurturing. There needs to be balance, and I want them to grow into beautiful, strong men that are able to be focused, but also love themselves through that femininity and allow themselves to feel pleasure and really come back to, you know, compassion and et cetera, et cetera. And the other thing I will say about the masculine energy is, and this, you know, again, can be very triggering for people, and I'll explain it as best I can so that it takes away the triggers. But when I think about masculine and feminine energy, as I said, that masculine energy is there to provide the safety, and it's the feminine's role to submit. And when I talk about submitting, I don't mean letting someone take control over you. I mean letting them lead you. So you let that masculine, for me, the downloads are your masculine energy giving you direction. And if you're tapped in and you submit from your feminine, you're allowing your masculine to guide you and lead you to where you're going. And that was to lead into another point that now I've forgotten.
All right, what you gave, so
yeah.
potent that anything else I think would just be.
If I remember it, I'll put it in the comments.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you beautiful woman. Anybody else want to speak on that?
I do. That's really the essence of my chapter, what Steph just spoke about. My chapter is called Ecstasy Seeking from Control to Surrender. And yeah, my chapter really talks about me becoming aware of the fact that I felt like I had to have power and control over everything to feel safe. And that what Adele spoke about, of not even knowing what our shadows are because they're so hidden and in the depths of us. I sort of talk a little bit about too, like I didn't even know that I desperately wanted to surrender, but I didn't feel safe to. So I stayed in that power and control and had everything my way and yeah, totally controlled. And it felt yucky. And to start with, I felt like I needed more controls to feel safe. And it took quite a long time to realize I actually wanted to surrender and then to be able to do that. Once you've been controlling your life and everything around you for 30 years, it's hard to let that go. And it definitely took time to feel comfortable and safe to go, someone else can actually lead. And also the universe, letting the universe lead and things just to happen and be the way they are and being okay with that.
I love that. I'm going to jump in on that note. I want to talk about the masculine and the feminine, and I agree everything that we've just been talking about. I actually feel like, though, that for myself and the way that I speak with my clients about it is that learning to trust yourself is a masculine and the feminine uniting. I feel like when I surrendered to myself and I go, you know, Claudia, I've got you, it's okay. I remember having this conversation with myself, like, but I don't trust you. And the moment I heard myself say, I don't trust you, which is I don't trust myself, boom, that was the work I needed to do. Why didn't I trust myself? And I did the shadow work to reclaim that.
Yeah, totally.
You know, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's learning how to trust yourself. My battery is running low. I want to throw one more thing out there because this is this juicy pussy magic that I just love. Orgasmic transmutation, sex magic. Jessie, mic's over to you. But you're on mute.
I was just getting excited going like this. Yes, because we all, I don't know what I really want to say about that. Just so important. It's what's brought me home to my body and to my yoni and to myself, and allowing myself to just melt into my masculine and be held and be safe. Sex magic. It's fucking awesome.
I'll go. I feel like since I first heard this term, I was like, holy shit. All right, this is what's up. And now it's like, I can't not think about it every time I'm in a sexual relation with myself or with my partner or whatever else we might explore. Because it's this, because you're working with such potent energy, whatever is in that space is going to be made manifest in the world, in the earth. And so like the poem, the quote that Nadine shared, like that made me fully emotional because like it is just, I just have so much grief that comes up through my body on any like random days. Like I'll just have random days where I'm just crying because I can feel everything. Like when you allow the feminine to open, I feel shit. I feel it all. And I don't think grief is a bad thing to feel, but it's just this like letting it roll through my body But in that grief, it's this knowing what as the feminine is reclaiming its place to bring the balance at this like collective level. Yes, we're doing it in ourselves, and I think we do. Like we kind of start with ourselves to bring them back together, but also like, what are we really doing in this micro setting to then birth it out into the macro and way beyond? And everything's always a reflection of everything else, and you can kind of expand it out and bring it back in, and it's all the same. So I kind of I'm always like at my partner, because we're kind of like, I've been doing this for a while and it's so like in me, but I kind of feel like with him, I'm just like, when he's in his like explosion period, I'm like, what are you manifesting? What's happening? What are we doing? But it is so potent, because it's that time. Like I remember, we lost a manager at the gym, and within 24 hours, we had this new manager that was just so aligned with our values, because it's just, when you're in the potency, you are so clear of what you're calling in, and then boom, shakalaka, here it is.
Absolutely. Steph?
Yeah, I love sex magic, orgasmic transmutation, whatever you want to call it. And when we were talking about self-pleasure earlier, and like I didn't share on that, but this all feeds into that for me. So, and I've only, been using this for a couple of years now, but I remember listening to a Kim Anami podcast. I don't know if anyone follows Kim Anami, the vaginal weightlifter. She's fucking epic. Everyone needs to go look her up. But she was talking about when she's working and she's stuck, she will go in self-pleasure and have an orgasm, or with her partner, like have an orgasm, whatever. I was like, it's always stuck in me. I was like, that's fucking cool. Okay, like Adele, like that's where it's at. And now this, using, power of the pussy, I call it, or whatever you want to call it, to go deep into what it is I'm feeling. Like if I'm feeling stuck about something, then I will go into my body. And if it takes me to that place of self-pleasure, then it's like, I'm asking the questions during that process. What do I need to know? If there's something that I want to manifest, then I manifest it. And like, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, I manifested a free yoga retreat, like weekend yoga retreat. So I've manifested clients. Like Adele said, anything that it becomes manifest in your reality, whatever you're channeling in that energy at that moment. If I'm wanting the answers to a conversation that I need to have, a deep conversation, it's like I go in and you talk. It's like I need to talk to my pussy and figure out what it is. Like, what does she want me to share with the world, and where does she want me to open up to receive? Like, what am I missing here? What am I not tuned into that needs to be heard?
I love this conversation. My battery is running out. Can I put something out there for us all to do together, and for any of the viewers that are listening? Okay, I want you to find yourself comfortable wherever you're sitting, and move so that you can feel your vagina. Can you feel the lips of your yoni? And how does it feel? Rock backwards and forwards from side to side. How does she feel? Is she comfortable? Is your actual vagina canal? Is she relaxed? Is your womb relaxed? This is something that when I realized that I could do and I became aware of, I do it whenever I am needing to tap back into my base, my connection to earth, my reason for being born at this epic moment in human history. This is something that I want to put out to all of you. How can I use my skills, gifts, and talents to be of best service to the highest vision that my life incarnated for? Because your body is this tuning fork, this conduit for heaven manifesting on earth. It has been such a pleasure to share these conversations with you. I'm so honored to be rubbing shoulders with women like yourselves. Thank you so much for showing up for this conversation, the women that are watching. I've got like 5% left. Does anybody want to add anything else in? Natalie.
I just want to acknowledge also that there's some beautiful comments and questions on the Sexual Live. So we will get back to that and get back to all of you. So thank you so much for that. But yeah, I just want to add quickly what sex magic is for me as well. It is a full body experience. It is curling from the toes, from the tip of your toes, all the way up through your head, and this incredible connection to above, below, the earth, your body, everything. And it's just tingles and just this feeling of being so connected, so connected. And within that, that's where the magic happens, because when you then connect to all it is, you open portals and doorways and, you know, inspiration and everything to flow through you. So yeah, I just wanted to leave with that. And I actually pulled a card just as we were talking, and I will show you what that is.
Beautiful.
Okay, and it says, the goddess of sanctuary. No matter where I am home. The most sacred sanctuary is found within me. So claim that, beloveds. Woohoo! Thank you so much, my loves, for this conversation. Have a beautiful day.
Thank
Bye.
you.
See you
Thank
in
you,
the
beautiful
play.
ones. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.